It's not working out for me. Okay, so now we're on to Deuteronomy. Let's see. Granger and Bree just broke up. That's what's going on right now. Sarah just got over the corona for the second time, but actually it's the third time, but I'm not sure. And let's see what else is happening. Yeah, we're still living with the Timmermans until the house is built. And there you go. Sarah is 10, almost 11, and Granger is 21, almost 22. Okay. Now it shall come to pass, if you diligently obey the voice of the Lord your God, to observe carefully all his commandments, which I command you today, that the Lord your God will set you high above all nations of the earth. And all these blessings shall come upon you and overtake you, because you obey the voice of the Lord your God. So the blessings will come upon you and overtake you, right? So this is why we listen to God and we obey the voice of God when he tells us things, and we follow the commandments. Blessed shall you be in the city, and blessed shall you be in the country. Blessed shall be the fruit of your body, the produce of your ground, and the increase of your herds, and the increase of your cattle, and the offspring of your flocks. Now, preachers will preach this to get money out of people. They will say, follow the word of God, and then they will say, then you're going to be blessed. And then what they do is they switch to the verse in the Bible where it talks about giving, right? But like we've already discussed, just like when Jesus went into the temple and threw all the tables up because they were manipulating people and selling stuff and things like this, these preachers are not supposed to be taking from poor people. They're supposed to be helping poor people. So, and they're not supposed to be manipulating money out of anybody. And that is not what this lesson is about. And they're actually taught this in school, right? They actually get taught these things in school to get more money out of people. And that's why churches have turned into businesses instead of loving locations that are supposed to help people and the people that surround them, not just some people off in some country that they say they're helping. So it's for your community. That's who it's for. For those in your church, you are supposed to take care, just like they did back then. They took care of the people in their communities. Blessed shall be the fruit of your body, the produce of your ground, and the increase of your herd, and the increase of your cattle, and the offspring of your flocks. Blessed shall be your basket and your kneading bowl. Blessed shall you be when you come in, and blessed shall you be when you go out. The Lord will cause your enemies to rise against you to be defeated before your face. They shall come out against you one way and flee before you 7 ways. The Lord will command the blessing on you in your houses and all to which you set your hand, and he will bless you in the land which the Lord your God is giving you. The Lord will establish you as holy people to himself, just as he has sworn to you, if you keep the commandments of the Lord your God and walk in his ways. Then all peoples of the earth shall see that you are called by the name of the Lord, and they shall be afraid of you. And the Lord will grant you plenty of goods in the fruit of your body, in the increase of your livestock, in the produce of your ground, in the land of which the Lord swore to your fathers to give you. The Lord will open to you his good treasure, the heavens, to give the rain to your land in its season, and to bless all the work of your hand. You shall lend to many nations, but you shall not borrow. You shall lend to many nations, but you shall not borrow. The Lord will make you the head and not the tail. You shall be above only, and not beneath, if you heed the commandment of the Lord your God, which I command you today, and are careful to observe them. So he's explaining you're going to be the one that's the lender. You're going to be the helper. You follow his word, and you're going to be the head and not the tail, right? So there's always someone you can help. No matter what position you're in, there's always someone who needs your help. Always have your eyes and your ears open for the Lord to talk to you so that you can help those that he wants you to help. So you shall not turn aside from any of the words which I command you this day, to the right or to the left, to go after other gods to serve them. And what are other gods? Money, houses, phones, whatever it is that you put first in your life over God. It doesn't mean that you're not going to be blessed with nice things. That's not, but you strive to follow God. And what does he say? And you work hard, and he gives people a drive. He gives them a mission. He gives them the courage, all the different things that people do in this world. All good things are given by God. And what does he say? He says, all these blessings shall come upon you and overtake you, right? But it shall come to pass, if you do not obey the voice of the Lord your God, to observe carefully all his commandments and his statutes, which I command you today, that all these curses will come upon you and overtake you. So then, if you don't obey it, then guess what happens to you? But remember, he's a very forgiving God, and he's very patient. But he has been patient with all of us, and he's been very forgiving. And we have to try, no matter what, as long as we're trying in our hearts and in our minds and in our souls. That's what's important. We're not perfect. You have to keep striving to do what he tells you to do. Cursed shall you be in the city, and cursed shall you be in the country. Cursed shall be your basket and your kneading bowl. Cursed shall be the fruit of your body and the produce of your land, the increase of your cattle and the offspring of your flocks. Cursed shall you be when you come in, and cursed shall you be when you leave. The Lord will send on you cursing, confusion, and rebuke in all that you set your hand to do, until you are destroyed, until you perish quickly, because of the wickedness of your doings in which you have forsaken me. The Lord will make the plague cling to you until he has consumed you from the land which you are going to possess. The Lord will strike you with consumption, with fear, with inflammation, with severe burning, fever, with the sword, with scorching, and with mildew, and they shall pursue you until you perish. And your heavens which are over your head shall be bronze, and the earth which is under you shall be iron. The Lord will change the rain of your land to powder and dust. From the heaven it shall come down on you until you are destroyed. The Lord will cause you to be defeated before your enemies. You shall go out one way against them and flee 7 ways before them. You shall become troublesome to all kingdoms of the earth. Your carcasses shall be food for all the birds of the air and the beasts of the earth, and no one shall frighten them away. The Lord will strike you with boils of Egypt, with tumors with the scab, and with the itch from which you cannot be healed. The Lord will strike you with madness and blindness and confusion of heart, and you shall grope at no one day, as a blind man gropes in darkness. Noonday. And you shall grope at noonday, as a blind man gropes in darkness. You shall not prosper in your ways. You shall only be oppressed and plundered continually, and no one shall save you. You shall betroth a wife, but another man shall lie with her. You shall build a house, but you shall not dwell in it. You shall plant a vineyard, but you shall not gather its grapes. Your ox shall be slaughtered before your eyes, but you shall not eat of it. Your donkey shall be violently taken away from before you, and shall not be restored to you. Your sheep shall be given to your enemies, and shall not have one to rescue them. Your sons and your daughters shall be given to another people, and your eyes shall look and fail with longing for them all day long, and there shall be no strength in your hand. A nation whom you have not known shall eat the fruit of your land and the produce of your labor, and you shall be only oppressed and crushed continually. So you shall be driven mad because of the sight which your eyes see. The Lord will strike you in the knees and on the legs with severe boils which cannot be healed, and from the sole of your foot to the top of your head. The Lord will bring you and the king whom you set over you to a nation which neither you nor your fathers have known, and there you shall serve other gods, wood and stone. And they do that, huh? They serve gods made out of wood or stone, like bow down to them. As if something that man created is a god. Something that man built. This doesn't make any sense, does it? If there's a God, right, then he would have created us. Then how could we create him? Obviously, we're all part of creation. Whether people like it or not, they're part of creation. Whether they accept it or not, doesn't matter. They're still a part of creation. And you shall become an astonishment, a proverb, and a byword among all nations where the Lord will drive you. You shall carry much seed out to the field, but gather little in, for the locust shall consume it, and shall plant vineyards and tend them, but you shall neither drink of the wine nor gather the grapes, for the worm shall eat them. You shall have olive trees throughout all your territory, but you shall not anoint yourself with oil, for your olives shall drop off. You shall beget sons and daughters, but they shall not be yours, for they shall go into captivity. Locusts shall consume all your trees and the produce of your land. The alien who is among you shall rise higher and higher above you, and you shall come down lower and lower. He shall lend to you, but you shall not lend to him. He shall be the head, and you shall be the tail. Moreover, all these curses shall come upon you and pursue and overtake you until you are destroyed. But you did not obey the voice of the Lord your God, to keep his commandments and his statutes which he commanded you. And they shall be upon you for a sign and a wonder, and on your descendants forever. And it says it'll be on your descendants forever, right? Because you did not serve the Lord with joy and gladness of heart for the abundance of everything. Therefore you shall serve your enemies, whom the Lord will send against you in hunger and thirst, in nakedness and in need of everything. And he will put a yoke of iron on your neck until he has destroyed you. The Lord will bring a nation against you from afar, from the end of the earth, as swift as the eagle flies, a nation whose language you will not understand, a nation of fierce countenance, which does not respect the elderly, nor show favor to the young. And they shall eat the increase of your livestock and the produce of your land, until you are destroyed. They shall not leave you grain, or new wine, or oil, in the increase of your cattle, or in the offspring of your flocks, until they have destroyed you. They shall besiege you at all your gates, until your high and fortified walls, in which you trust, come down throughout all your land. And they shall besiege you at all your gates throughout all your land, which the Lord your God has given you. You shall eat the fruit of your own body, the flesh of your own sons and daughters, whom the Lord your God has given you, in the siege and desperate straits in which your enemy shall distress you. The sensitive and very refined man among you will be hostile towards his brother, toward the wife of his bosom, and toward the rest of his children whom he leaves behind, so that he will not give any of them the flesh of his children whom he will eat, because he has nothing left in the siege and the desperate straits in which your enemy shall distress you at your gates. Now imagine being brought down to this level. So determined are people to go against God. We have to remember that a lot of people are fear what's going to happen and da-da-da-da-da. But dying and going to Jesus is the ultimate healing. And a huge blessing is that none of these things will happen to us because we love God and trust in him to take care of us. This is when people have turned completely against God and refuse to listen to anything and not to read his word, not to believe in him, not to listen to anything that he's saying. And this is basically the pit of despair, right? It's all the way down. A lot of people will say, like when someone dies from cancer, right? What a horrible death that is. But it's also a death of courage, because many of these people, although they suffer, they are focused on Jesus and they are focused on the afterlife. You just don't want to, and the suffering is just like when Jesus suffered. And he talks about in the Bible, it'll affect generations upon generations. These are sins, right? Jesus paid for our sins, and we ask for forgiveness, but the effects of the sins throughout the generations, it's still there. The sin is forgiven, but at times, of course, well, many times, constantly, because a lot of us would be dead instantly from the sin, right? He saves us physically so that we can live, but there is still much suffering, and that's from all of this sin. And then people say, but I don't understand, why do we have to live through this suffering? Well, that was all caused by sin. It was all caused by us. And why doesn't he just come? Well, because who does he say he came for? He came for the lost. We were born into sin. He came for the lost. So until he has every single part of his creation that he can salvage for heaven above, is how long we're going to be on this earth. And only he knows when that time is over. It's very important that we pray for as many people as we can, because and for their salvation, because that's why we're here, until every person that he knows is going to turn to him does turn to him. The tender and the delicate woman among you, who would not venture to set the sole of her foot on the ground because of her delicateness and sensitivity, will refuse to the husband of her bosom, and her son and her daughter, her placenta which comes out from between her feet, and her children from whom she bears, for she will eat them secretly for lack of everything in the siege and desperate straits in which your enemies shall distress you at all gates. If you do not carefully observe all the words of this law that are written in this book, that you may fear this glorious and awesome name, the Lord your God, then the Lord will bring upon you and your descendants extraordinary plagues, great and prolonged plagues, and serious and prolonged sicknesses. So even back then, he's warning people, if you don't fear God, right? Because so many people think, oh, well, I can just build my house on the side of this mountain and keep it from sliding, right? But you can't stop God. Anything that God wants to do, he is going to do, and we can't stop it. We can't make what he makes, and we can't stop what he begins. We are just part of this creation. He chooses, but he tells us through his word that what we have to do, right, is follow his words. Our spirit has to listen to what he's saying. And we are to, we're not supposed to, fear. I mean, obviously, if at times you fear, but I mean, for our lives and for the future and all these things, we're supposed to focus on God because he controls all that. It is what it is. Then the Lord will bring, Moreover, he will bring back on you all the diseases of Egypt, of which you are afraid, and they shall cling to you. Also, every sickness, every plague, which is not written in this book of the law, will the Lord bring upon you until you are destroyed. You shall be left few in numbers, whereas you were as the stars of heaven in multitude, because you would not obey the voice of the Lord your God. And it shall be that just as the Lord rejoiced over you to do to do you good and multiply you. So the Lord will rejoice over you to destroy you and bring you to nothing. And you shall be plucked from off the land which you go to possess. Then the Lord will scatter you among the peoples, from one end of the earth to the other, and there you shall serve other gods, which neither you nor your fathers have known, wood and stone. And among those nations you shall find no rest, nor shall the sole of your foot have a resting place. But there the Lord will give you a trembling heart, failing eyes, and anguish of soul. Your life shall hang in doubt before you. You shall fear day and night, and have no assurance of life. In the morning you shall say, Oh, that it were evening, and at evening you will say, Oh, that it were morning, because of the fear which terrifies your heart, and because of the sight which your eyes see. And the Lord will take you back to Egypt in ships by the way which I said to you, you shall never see it again. And there you shall be offered for sale to your enemies as male and female slaves, but no one will buy you. So, just as he spoke about the blessings, he also spoke about those curses, didn't he? So, people who say they don't fear God, my fear of God is being without God, because being without God lends to these things here, and that my children will suffer also. And I want us to focus on God. Although we sin and we make our mistakes, our hearts are doing what we should every day to grow closer and closer to God, and always remember that. Okay, Ranger and Sarah, I love you guys, and I hope you have a great day.